Hi guys, a very good morning to all of you. I know that there is a type of uncomfortable feeling inside you, feeling what to do next. Have I scored enough? What is the next plan of action? Such feelings are common and it is alright. Take a couple of days break, relax because you are going to start another session of marathon for which you need all your energies. Now this video is mainly to talk and analyze and review the prelims paper of GS-1 2024. My intention is not to just give you answers and get on with it. My entire intention is for you to understand the exam of prelims. How your preparation should be oriented to ace prelims. This is an empirical evidence-based class where I give you exactly the breakup of different questions and how to approach those questions and how exactly to clear this prelims exam, not in this year but in all the years. Today, by listening to the video, you will understand why there are a few people who will keep clearing prelims every time they write and why a few people will not clear prelims irrespective of putting their hard efforts and sincerity. The reason is very simple. You have to understand the mind of the exam, and this is what we are going to talk about today. So we will analyze and review the GS-1 paper for prelims 2024. I will show you the number of questions subject wise. I will show you the weightage of subject within the prelims percentage wise. Then we will go in every subject and discuss questions that were easy, moderate and hard. We will also discuss within every subject how many questions were actually easy and where your entire focus for the success of prelims had to be. Okay, so let us do this. We will not waste much time. Let us get on with it. So overall, if you take the paper, once we discuss the entire skeleton of the paper, once we discuss the analysis of how the questions are, then at the end I'm going to give you my take on what the paper is, what the cutoff can be and what your preparation should be. So I hope you can wait till the end of the video, but I request each and every one of you to see the video till the end because this will give you the idea how you can remove the processes, break it into simple components and analyze how exactly your preparation should be. Okay, it may help you this year or next year or any year that you want to take up prelims. This is how you have to decipher and understand the exam, and if you can see this video till the end, you will understand why we keep telling you basics are important. It is all about the basics. If you have basics in your fingertips, no one can stop you from clearing prelims. This will always be the mantra. This mantra will never change. Okay, let us get on with it now to give you the first GS-1 paper's subject-wise breakup. Okay, the subject-wise breakup of GS-1 paper 2024 is the first subject that has maximum number of questions is polity. Polity is having 18 questions. That gives you almost 18% of the questions are coming from one subject called polity. Okay, we will discuss about the difficulty, the easy and the moderate questions within the polity in a few minutes, but the first is polity. So whoever has studied Lakshmikant many number of times are going to definitely see success in this exam. Whoever are going to, whoever went into the speculation that nothing is coming from Lakshmikant, it is useless to study, they are the ones who will suffer. That is why the basic books will never change. The basic books will never ever change. The questions may come directly from that, indirectly from that. Reading that and internalizing it is a very important prerequisite for your success in the exam. So always basics and basic books should never change. So the first subject that has the highest number of questions in this year is polity, and that is having almost 18 questions. The next subject is geography. Very good, very simple questions. This time they've asked 17 questions. So that is 17% of the questions that have come is mainly from geography, and geographies also have been very easy. Again, basics. Whoever has done the basics properly can ace this subject. The third is environment. We have 14 questions. Environment, the 14 questions, most of the questions were very difficult. UPSC has maintained that rhythm of asking too much specific about environment where you should have very specific knowledge to answer it. It is understandable. Environment is difficult, was difficult. You don't know, it is going to be difficult. However, environment has 14 questions. It has a good number of weightage, but the questions were difficult. The next is economy. Economy gets 13 questions, guys. Again, economy is purely played on basics. If you can understand the concepts, properly, then you can play with the basics and get the questions right. However, economy, 13 questions. That is 13% of the questions that are coming from economy. The next is international relations. The last time to this time, the trend has changed. Last time there were a lot of questions that were asked on places in news, on several issues that are happening around the world. Now they are there. For example, Venezuela was asked. For example, there was a massive following for regions in news. Turkey, there was Sahel region question that was asked. So here and there was there, but it was not as much as asked that was in previous years. So international relations, they have changed the way of asking question a little bit. However, international relations questions, 11 questions were there. Let us in a few minutes look at it, how many easy and how many moderate and how many hard. But international relations, there were 11 questions from IR. The next is science and technology. Very, very beautifully set questions in science and technology. The way UPSC balances the questions in such a way that it should not be overly inclined towards science students, but it should always balance all aspects and all sections of the students is one of the best things that I've seen in science and technology questions. So science and technology has 9 very, very good questions that are set, and 9% of the questions is coming in this year from science and technology. The next is ancient medieval art and culture. Very, very good blend of easy and moderate and difficult questions. Yes, ancient medieval is factual. You can curse it, but ancient medieval art and culture has 3 very easy questions that you have to ace. Now, what you should understand is in every section of these subjects that I'm telling you, there are easy questions, and these are the easy questions that you should get right under any circumstances. That is what we'll get in a few minutes. But ancient medieval and art and culture, there were a total of 8 questions, guys. And out of these 8 questions, let us see what are easy, moderate and difficult in a few minutes. But 8 questions came from ancient medieval art and culture. Okay. The next is government programs and acts. There were 4 questions. So 4% of the questions are coming from government programs and acts. And defense, this is a new thing that has come up. Usually one question used to come in defense here and there, but now defense itself has become a separate section. So in a few years, you are going to see a lot of coaching institutes flood a lot of defense information to you. Okay, just like what happened with agriculture. For a few years, when UPSC used to ask on agriculture, they made agriculture as a separate subject and they started flooding the materials. So now the same thing is going to happen with defense. You don't know, there will be a separate class where a separate faculty will handle only defense. That can also happen. But overall, defense has become, has got the priority this year. If you see defense, you are seeing 4 questions, guys. 4 questions have been asked, out of which how much is easy? How much is easy, we'll see in a few minutes. And the last is modern India. Unfortunately, modern India has lost out the race in this year. Just 1 question. And right worry and permanent settlement, 1 question has come. If you take Government of India Act 1935, that also, if you take it, it's just 2 questions. But for me, that is more relevant to polity. So I put that in polity. So modern India, 1 question has come on permanent settlement and right worry. Okay. So these are the questions breakup from the year 2024 GS paper prelims. Okay, so the first subject is polity, the second is geography, the third is environment, the fourth is economy. Alright, so these 4 played a very, very critical factor along with IR. Alright, international relations also has 11 questions. So these 5, polity, geography, environment, economy and IR together has more than 10 questions in every subject. So these 5 have played a very, very dominant role in this year's prelims questions. But that doesn't mean the other questions or other subjects have lost its relevance. This is where you're going wrong. I kept telling you there is no priority subjects. Because why am I telling there is no priority subjects is because in science and technology also there are easy questions. In ancient medieval also there are easy questions. In defense also there is easy question. In government program also there is easy question. Every section or every subject that you are seeing, they all have an easy questions parts in it. So when you prioritize and overemphasize on only 1 or 2 subjects, you are going to lose out on those easy questions in other subjects. That's why I kept telling you the 8 core pillars. I keep telling you even today, if you want to clear prelims, make sure you are mastering the 8 core prelims. 8 core subjects. Because in that 8 core subjects, you'll always have 1 part of easy questions which you can answer. If you answer all the parts of easy questions in all the 8 parts, you can easily clear prelims. And that is what I'm going to prove you today. That is why I keep shouting at the top of my lungs to please master the 8 core subjects. Basics are your saviors. Basics are at the core of this exam. So now you understood the subject weightage and how the questions have come subject wise in prelims GS-1 2024. Now let us go into one subject and look at the questions, which are the questions that were easy and which were the questions that were moderate and which were the questions that was hard. So by that you should understand that every subject will have its own easy quotient which you should never underestimate, and these are the questions that will save you. Okay, let us start off with the first subject, that is polity. All right. In the polity questions, as I told you, there are 18 questions. So let us look at these 18 questions and then decide whether it is easy or it is moderate or it is difficult. Now, one thing what I would like to say is, what I may feel easy may not be easy for most of the students, or they may not relate exactly to that. It is okay. It is not about having perfect feeling with each other. It is about deciphering the understanding and deciphering the mind of the exam. That is the main intention of me doing this. So it is okay if there is some disagreements between us, but overall the intention is not just to see the answers and throw the paper. It is to understand the process. It is to understand the entire mechanism. If you understand the mechanism, you will never not clear prelims. You'll always clear prelims. That is the main intention of mine. So every time what happens is, if we do this deciphering exercise at the end of the year, you would have forgotten it. The reason why we are doing this now is because just because you finished this exam, you have all the questions fresh in your mind. So when we discuss this, it will be more amplifying. The effect will be more intense in your minds. Hence this exercise. Okay. Anyways, if you look at the polity questions, let us go topic by topic. Now, in polity questions, I have marked easy for those questions that are coming from Lakshmikant. Okay. Let them come from the factual aspects. Let them come from conceptual aspects. If it is coming from Lakshmikant, it is easy for me because it is your duty to, under any circumstances, not miss any questions that comes from Lakshmikant. If you have missed it, then it is completely the fault of yours for not preparing thoroughly the Lakshmikant book. Okay. Anyways, coming to Lakshmikant, the 18 questions are here follows. The first question is, as you can see, the provisional president of the Constituent Assembly before Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Okay, so this is an easy question because it is coming directly from the Lakshmikant. So that is why I marked it as easy. The next is Government of India Act 1935. Very easy question. So I marked it as easy. Money bill, easy question because one, you should know that money bill is a recurring theme. Every year there is one question on money bill. So obviously, since it's a recurring theme, you should have done a proper detail. The one where people would have gone wrong is Article 109, because we always have the tendency to start from 110. That's 110. So 109 may have missed out. So you can say, sir, we didn't know about it. That is not correct. So money bill is a recurring theme, so I'm marking it as easy. The next is Northeast Council. In the Interstate Council chapter, it's very clearly written who are all the members of the Northeast Council. So again, you don't have the scope to miss this. It is easy. The next is Delimitation Commission. I will take it as hard. Okay, not because it is hard for you to know the number, but it will take time for you to recollect all the delimitation commissions. Okay, because of late there were delimitation commissions that were set up, you will be a little bit confused. So for that reason, I am taking it as hard. Okay, the next is the scheduled languages in the 8th schedule. Again, this is easy because it is coming from Lakshmikant directly. Okay, the next is they are given pairs and parties as the match the following. I am going to take that as difficult or hard. Okay, the reason is because Swatantra Party was easy, Socialist Party was easy, Bharatiya Janata Sangh was easy, but there was one that was very difficult. That was the Jagjeevan Ram, the Congress the Democracy Party. Okay, so that is something that I would assume that you wouldn't know. Hence, we are taking that as hard question. So it is fine, not an issue. So that is hard. The next is parts of the Constitution. So they had asked about the emergency and its part. So this was tricky, but whatever is in Lakshmikant, I am taking it as easy, but because I know that it will be a little extreme for you people to understand that parts thoroughly, I am going to put it as moderate. Let us put it as moderate. Alright, though internally I feel it is coming from Lakshmikant, I should have known it. Let us put it on moderate. Okay. The next is the state and union subjects. For example, the interstate trade and commerce, the interstate migration, these, which subject does it fall, center or state? This I am going to put it as hard because the question was a little tricky. So let us put it as hard. The next is Article 21. The question was on right to privacy and Article 21. You should not make mistakes there. The next is Ethics Committee. Ethics Committee, only the members can complain or others can complain. Very easy. You can eliminate it. It is very easy. The next is writ prohibition. This can never go wrong. So that is very easy. The governor and the scheduled tribes. Very easy. The next is union budget or the annual financial statement laid by the finance minister. That finance minister will lay it on behalf of the president and not the prime minister. As simple as that. It is very, very easy. The next is speaker of the Lok Sabha. Again, when they are being voted out, what is the mechanism? Lakshmikant, direct question, very easy. Pending bills. The bill that lapses post the Lok Sabha dissolution. Again, very, very easy. Direct question it is there. Prorogation and dissolution. Very easy and direct question in the chapter called Parliament and Article 368. Again, the amendment is very, very easy. Look at the polity questions. If you can look at this pie chart, you see that out of the 18 questions, there are 14 easy questions. There was one moderate question and 3 hard questions. So if I can, just give you the pie chart and if you can look at it, you have 78% of easy questions, 5% moderate and 18% difficult. But if a person has diligently studied Lakshmikant thoroughly, then 78% chances of going right in the polity questions itself. That is, you are going to get 14 easy questions right. 14 easy questions into 2 marks is 28 marks. Look at this, almost 1/3 of your prelims score for you to clear this prelims is coming from only one subject and from one book. Yes, cannot be better than anything. Now this is the certainty. Everyone wants to see on the uncertain aspect of prelims, but I am going to show you the certain aspects of prelims. Last year also I wanted to do this and tell you how you could have scored 75 to 80 marks, but I couldn't do it. But this year I am showing you that every year, if you are strong on your basics, this is how you score, this is how you ace prelims. So I hope you understood polity. There are 14 easy questions, 1 moderate question and 3 hard questions. 78% of the questions in polity is easy and it is coming from one source. So this is where you should have hit the mark, and I hope my students have hit the mark. Okay, if you have not also, look at it, learn from it, and next year bounce back. There is nothing wrong with losing, there is nothing wrong in failing. It is all a learning exercise. This is just the beginning. Don't think that it is the end. Okay, understand the game, understand the rules, then flow with it and play with it. That is the entire intention of this video. So this is about the polity, guys. The next subject is geography. So in geography, the total of 17 questions came. Now let us look at the 17 questions one by one and see which were difficult, which were hard, and why was it hard. Again, my basis of easy and difficult was here in this subject on the basis of the basic books. Okay, if you can know the basic concepts, it is easy. Otherwise, let us say if there's even a little bit tricky, I'm going to mark it hard. Okay, even if there's one slight trick or a trap, I'm going to mark it moderate or hard. Easy is only when there is one trick that will give you the entire answer, or there is one basic concept. If you know, you will get the answer. So let us start off with it. The first is the question that was there on solar radiation and terrestrial radiation. Okay, one is short wave and another is long wave. On the basis of this, there was a question, very, very easy question. Okay, if you don't know this, that means you have not understood the concepts itself right, your basics itself are wrong. And one more thing, guys, wherever I'm telling easy question and still you're going wrong, that means your basics are weak. That is where you have the scope to revise more, to strengthen your basics. So I hope you don't take it negatively, you start getting disappointed, work on your problems, work on your solutions. So here the first question is solar radiation and terrestrial radiation. The question was easy. The next is troposphere. If you see the troposphere, the tropopause is always placed like this. So that at the equator, the thickness is more, at the poles, the thickness is less. This is purely a very easy question. If you look at the diagram of atmosphere, you will get to know this. So again, very easy question. The next is products of volcanic eruptions. It is all the above questions. So that is another easy question. Next is isotherms. I am marking isotherms as hard because they have not told which hemisphere. They told in the month of January, and in the first statement, they have failed to explain which hemisphere they are talking about. So in the northern hemisphere, we have winter in January. In the southern hemisphere we have summer. So in the northern hemisphere the land is cold, in the southern hemisphere the land is hot. So which hemisphere are they talking? For me to see the isotherm from the land to ocean is something that they have not told. So on that basis I'm marking it hard. The next is the cocoa products. Each and everyone knows the entire equatorial region is famous for plantation agriculture, and cocoa is grown mainly in West Africa. If you have this knowledge, you would have got the answer there. So that is easy. The next is tributaries of Ganga. My students would have got this correctly, but other students I don't know, because I always show them with a diagram. Any tributary or any drainage basin, I always draw the diagram to show the river and its tributaries. So my students may know it, others may not know it. So I'm going to mark it as moderate. It is fine, but why am I not marking it as hard is because Indian rivers are a theme. You should understand that Indian rivers are asked every year. So you should have prepared on it. But anyways, I am marking it as moderate. The next is weathering. There was a question on weathering. It was a question on carbonation. Okay, rainfall and carbon dioxide becoming carbonic acid. So this weathering question was very easy. The next is countries bordering North Sea. I kept telling you in the world mapping, I kept telling you in the places in news. Overall, you should have studied this in static mapping. So countries bordering North Sea is very easy. The next is waterfalls and rivers. This was difficult. I will definitely agree. Waterfalls and rivers was very difficult. The next is countries and mountain types. Okay, very easy question. Okay, basic book of G.S. Leong, you would have got it. Which are block mountains, which are fold mountains, are something very basic information you will get from 6th to 10th NCERTs itself. Okay, the next is airports and greenfield projects. This I agree it was difficult. Obviously last time they had asked about ports, so everyone started studying about ports. This time they were asking about airports. These are few questions that you should not worry. Okay, again by the end of this video you will realize that it is not about such single-handed questions that you will decide the fate. Okay, it is about the broader picture which you are going to realize today. Anyways, airports and greenfield projects is very hard. The next is water vapor. Very easy question. World climatic type, there was a question that is actually a very well set question. Many students would have marked it equatorial type, or many students would have marked it western marginal British type, but the answer there is China type, because only one variable they have made it, they have changed it, that is 50 to 200 centimeter precipitation. This one variable will change the entire thing. So anyways, that world climatic types, I am marking it as moderate because of the trick. Let us not put it as easy at all. I am only concerned with how many easy questions came and what was something that was relevant for you to clear this prelims. So let me mark it as moderate. Next, Coriolis force was easy. Direct question taken from NCERT. Seasons, I am telling it as easy, very easy. Climatology is a theme in UPSC prelims. Second, seasons is a question that keeps recurring. Seasons is something that they keep asking. This is the 4th time in the last 6 years they have asked on seasons. Again, if you don't realize that and if you are not prepared on that, that is whose fault? The question is again very easy. The next is world's largest peatland. They were asking about Congo Basin. I am taking it as hard. Okay, because there is a very high amount of confusion between Congo Basin and Amazon Basin. So let us assume that it is hard. The last is Red Sea. Okay, Red Sea, again the question was very tricky. I know that many people would have marked thinking that the second statement is very extreme, that no river is going into Red Sea, but unfortunately that statement is correct. Okay, but anyways, so I am marking Red Sea as hard. Okay, I focused on Red Sea asking you to read all the countries surrounding, but they came up with some other fact. That is how UPSC always stays one step ahead, and we have to accept that. But it is not about they staying ahead, we try to overtake it. It is never a competition of us with UPSC. No. Our main aim is to make our students clear this exam. It is not to compete with UPSC to make sure we are on par or we are above UPSC. It is not at all. My students have to clear this exam, and that is the sole intention of mine. And for that, if I have to accept that I lose, I will lose. That is not an issue at all. But now, this geography questions, the 17 questions that you saw, okay, look at this. There are 11 easy questions, 1 moderate question, and 5 hard questions. Look, the 11 easy questions from 17 questions from geography, okay, the 14 easy questions from polity and the 11 easy questions from the geography would have fetched you 25 questions already. 25 into 2 is 50 marks. You're there, you're 50% there in your prelims success. Your 50% is already decided in 2 subjects. Again, that doesn't mean that I'm telling you to prioritize subjects. I'm only trying to make you realize that every subject will have its own easy questions, and that is where you have to hit the mark. That is where you have to score, immensely. Alright, so this is about geography. So as you can see the pie chart, in the pie chart you can see that there is 64% easy questions, 6% moderate and 29% difficult. So 64% of the questions were easy, and it is where you had to capitalize, and I hope you have capitalized. My students have made me proud by capitalizing. I'm really happy for them. Okay, so this is about the geography question, guys. I hope it was helpful. The next subject is economy. Again, economy, overall basics, whoever is strong in their basics would have got it. Let them ask about syndicated lending. Let them ask about any financial instrument. Let them ask about sectors of the economy. This is where, what is the difference between working capital, fixed capital? These are all basic terms. If you have the understanding, you are going to ace it. Okay, let us see. Economy, there were a total of 13 questions. So this is how the 13 questions are given. So let me go one by one and see which are easy and which are difficult. The first is collateral, borrowing and lending obligations. Now this is an instrument that is a money market instrument that you should know. If you don't know, you cannot help it. There is nothing that you can derive from the word and then mark, so I'm marking it as hard question. The next is total fertility in an economy. One of the most easiest questions in the entire question paper. If you've gone wrong with this, you're very wrong with your basics. So please revise that. So very, very easy question. The next is NBFCs, FIIs and exchanges. Okay, stock exchanges. So there was a question on NBFCs, whether they can access the liquidity adjustment facility of RBI. Then there was FIIs and then there was stock exchanges. I'm going to mark it as moderate because it demanded 3 different concepts in the same question. I'm going to assume that it will take more time for you to think, and in that time constraint you may not be able to deduce the correct answer. So on that basis, let me say that this question is moderate. Let me go to the 4th one, corporate bonds and government securities. I am going to mark it easy because if you take the government securities, you will get the answer. Okay, who all can buy and trade government securities? You will get the answer. Recently, RBI opened the government securities for retailers. Okay, so with that, just one information you can get the entire answer. So this is easy. The next is financial instruments. Financial instruments, I'm going to mark moderate because a few people, motor vehicles you can eliminate, but currency swap is something that you people will start thinking a lot over it, and we also don't know how the UPSC is going to interpret that. But overall, I am going to take this as moderate. Currency swap is part of the financial instrument because currency swap is something that comes under foreign exchange instrument. So foreign exchange instrument is part of the financial instrument. So currency swap instrument is correct is what I would assume. That is why in my answer keys I have given it as currency swap is part of financial instrument. But this question is moderate. I'm not even taking it as easy. My entire intention is to make you realize what are easy. So this is again moderate. The next is working capital and fixed capital. Very, very easy and very good question. Okay. In the time span you should think. So it is a tricky but challenging question. A person with proper calm and presence of mind would have got this. The next is the metaverse. Easy question. The next is foreign banks. Here foreign banks, both the statement required factual information for you to know. That is, do they have to have any type of pool of fund? The next is the independent directors. Is it 50%? Is it less or is it more? It required a lot of specific knowledge. So I'm going to take that this question is hard. Okay. The next is the corporate social responsibilities. I'm going to mark it as moderate. Because though you don't know the specific information, you don't have to know the specific information. Just by having that common sense. Obviously, corporate social responsibility is something that should not be done for a profit of a company or the employee. Basic. So that will be explicitly written in the law. Basic. And they cannot say that there is no limit or there is some benchmark. There will always be a benchmark. So on that common basis, you would have got the answer. But even then, see, corporate social responsibility, I'm marking it as moderate. Let us assume that it is moderate because in that time span, you wouldn't have thought like that. Let us assume that it is moderate. Next, USA defaulting on its debt and the US Treasury bonds. Again, this is a tricky question, guys. I'm going to mark it hard because usually what happens, US, let us take, if you take India also, if India defaults on its debt, then whoever have invested on the Indian government will have invested on the faith of the government. There is no backing for it. So obviously on that logic, you will put it as statement 1 is true and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. But here what happens is, USA has defaulted on its debt and the debt is defaulted on treasury bonds. For the treasury bonds, there is backed up assets in USA. So that person is not investing on the faith of the US government, but actually on the backed up assets. So on that basis, here the statement 1 is not true. The statement 2, the person is not backing on the faith of the government is true. It is not backing on the faith of the government. So this is a little tricky. So let me put it as hard. Okay, next is syndicated lending. Again, see, you don't have to know exactly syndicated lending. If you know syndicated and lending, and if you can make sense of the English there, you should get the answer. So it is easy. Digital rupee is easy because just one statement would have got you the answer. The statement is, it is well designed to control inflation. How can it be well designed to control inflation? That itself should give you the answer. This is where the easiness comes. The next is the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors of the economy. The reason why I'm marking it moderate is the storage of agricultural produce is something of a contention between me and Aditya sir. Okay, so Aditya sir tells that it is primary. I am telling that it is secondary because two ways to look at it. One, you can look at it as storage of agri-produce can be the forward linkage of agriculture. Storage of agri-produce can be backward linkage of food processing. So which part are they looking at is something that we don't know. So how will UPSC interpret it is something that we don't know. So I'm marking it as moderate. All in all, in the economy, there are 13 questions. Out of the 13 questions, you have 6 easy questions, 4 moderate questions, and 3 hard questions. So you can see the pie chart here. The pie chart shows that 46% of economy was easy. And when I say easy, it is dead easy. And I don't worry about the moderate or hard questions. I don't want you to worry about it. I want you to only focus on the easy questions. So that comes up to 6 easy questions. That is 46% of the questions were easy. Okay. So 14 plus 11 plus 6. That 14 plus 11 plus 6 is 31 questions in your prelims exam that are very easy, that are coming from the 3 subjects. Are you realizing the importance of basics? Are you realizing the importance of revisions? And are you realizing the importance of conceptual clarity? This was what was required. It was not about you studying current affairs, not about you studying magazines, not about you studying extreme things, worrying about what prelims is, how uncertain the prelims exam is. That is unfortunately the environment, the ambience and the aura created by the industry. It is very unfortunate, but I want you to realize this. So this was about economy. So I hope you understood the importance of the economy and how well you could have scored in economy. Let us get on with the next subject. The next subject is environment. 14 questions came from environment. Environment was on the difficult side. I do agree. But look, what happens when human mind is, I have already shown you 31 easy questions, but now the questions that I'm going to show you that are difficult, those questions are only going to run in your mind. They will take the dominant narrative. So every time you go back to this paper, you will always see these questions rather than the 31 easy questions. That is where you have to change that mindset. This is why I'm doing this class. I hope you're understanding the importance of it. Okay, now look at environment questions. There are 14 questions. Let us go one by one and see the difficulty of those questions, and then come back and gauge the how the questions have come in environment. The first question is perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS. Now obviously such questions usually will have all the above options as correct, but let us not mark it as easy. Let us mark it as moderate, because in the previous years all the above was not actually becoming right, so you will always have the tendency to not go for it. So in that instance, I'm just telling, though it is easy, I'm telling it as moderate. The next is parasitoid. Okay, parasitoid species is a very hard question. Parasitoid is different from parasite. Okay, many institutes are given answer keys telling parasite species. Please, parasitoid is different, parasite is different. Parasitoid is parasite plus predator. When you have a parasite plus predator relationship added to one, then it is known as parasitoid species. So again, very, very difficult to choose from those. 100% in that time constraint, it will be very difficult. So I agree with it. The next is the Indian flying fox. The Indian fruit bat, Indian flying fox. Difficult question. I do agree, because at that moment, now a lot of people will say it's easy, you should know that fruit bat, but to correlate Indian flying fox to fruit bat in that time constraint would be difficult. So I am assuming that it was hard. I don't worry about or care about the other things. The next, cicada, frog hopper and pond skater. I am going to mark it as moderate, but where the int was pond skater. If you see that ponds, there is one insect that goes and always stays on that particular pond itself, on top of the surface. So if you can visualize that, you would have got this as insects, but it is okay. I am not even telling you to mark it as easy on the basis of that. I am going to mark it as moderate. And my intention is nothing to do with moderate or hard questions. My intention to you is mainly to make you clear with respect to easy questions. So next is chewing gums. Very, very easy question. Here you should not overthink. Okay, chewing gums is an easy question. The next is countries and animals that are found in its natural habitat. Very, very difficult question. I have not heard about those names at all. So obviously it's a difficult question. So it is there. The next is lions and cheetahs. Okay, lions and cheetahs, actually to an extent it is easy, but again, I am not going to mark it easy. Animal behavior is something that is very specific to few. A few will find it very, very easy. A few will find it very alien to them because they are not so much in tune into animal behavior. So overall, let us assume that lion and cheetah is a moderate question. Okay. The next is 100 million farmers. Now, if you see this 100 million farmers, all the other 3 options are very, very specific. One is talking about organic part in animal husbandry. Okay, it becomes very specific. One is talking about digitization. It is very specific. 100 million farmers, very commonsensical. It's a World Economic Forum's initiative. But barring all those things, just by looking at that 100 million farmers, a very broad aspect in that option was the option A. So I hope you got that. So it is an easy question. Okay, the next is the question on distributed energy. I am going to tell that distributed energy resources is easy, because if you know what is distributed energy resource from English perspective, distributed energy resource means what? It is a decentralized setup. So when you know the decentralized setup, you can take fuel cells, you can take solar rooftop voltaic cells. All these are decentralized setups. So this is what is distributed energy resources. Easy question. The next is the co-evolution of wasp with fig tree. Very, very difficult question. A lot of you people may think silk, but it is fig. I can understand it is a hard question, so I will have no issues with it. Let us understand that it is hard. The next is poisonous species. Okay, now here poisonous is a very, very broad term. Now when I say poisonous is a very, very broad term, all the above will always be the answer. So again, that's why I'm giving it as easy. The next is trees that are native to Indian India. Trees that are native to India. You have cashew, papaya, and you had red sanders. So basically here red sanders everyone will know, and cashews and papaya, this is where you should know. You may be confused, so I am going to mark it as moderate. Let us take it as moderate. Okay. The next is the Environmental Protection Agency. Now here also, if you apply the common sense, amongst all the four options, the last option, the thermal power plants, has a very broader scope to emit whatever gas it is. Whatever gas they are asking, they asked about sulfur, but whatever gas it is, the thermal power plants had more scope to emit. So obviously on that basis only you should have marked it. So that is easy. The next is the pea family. So they had asked about the three different crops and which belong to pea family. I am going to mark it as hard, because if you realize that pea family is nothing but leguminae, they are all leguminous plants. If you had that hint, then obviously you would have marked all the above. But since I am assuming that even we don't know that, so pea family, all the three were correct. The options were correct. But even then, let us take it as hard question. The next is sustainable aviation fuel. Here also, you can take it as all the above, but again, I'm not taking it as all the above. I'm not telling it as easy. I'm putting it in the hard. What you want to see here that I'm doing is, even if there is a slight hint that you cannot do it, I'm putting it in hard or moderate. So I'm being very, very stubborn and stingy on the questions that I'm putting it as easy, only to show you that even after being so stubborn, look at how many questions that come out as easy. Okay. Anyways, so sustainable aviation fuel, the trick there was the wastewater sludge. You know whether wastewater sludge can be used for sustainable aviation fuel or not, because aviation fuel you can use, but sustainable aviation fuel, wastewater sludge, do we have the technology to sustainably take that particular fuel or convert it? That is where some people may be confused. On that basis I'm marking it as hard. Okay, so now if you look at this hard, moderate and difficult, the distribution of questions that we have done, overall in the environment there were 14 questions and 5 were easy. Then there was 4 moderate, and then there was 6 hard. Okay, so 5 easy, 4 moderate and 6 hard. So broadly 5 questions out of 14 questions were doable. So 31 questions before was doable. With that 5 more questions were doable. So that comes to 36 questions. So 36 questions up to this point is doable. Okay, environment overall, you are looking at the pie chart. It was on the difficult side, as you can see in the pie chart. 33% of the questions were easy, 26% was moderate, but overall 41 questions of the environment questions were difficult. So you had 6 questions out of 14 questions that were very difficult, and then you had 4 questions that were moderately difficult. So we are assuming that 10 out of 4 questions were on the difficult side. Okay, however 4 to 5 questions on the environment questions were easy, so at least those 4 to 5 questions you should have marked properly. So overall, just because environment as a subject was difficult, do not gauge the entire paper as difficult for the next year. Don't gauge that you are going to only prepare on the environment. Don't keep putting more time on digging deeper in environment. That is not how it works. Focus on the easy question, and that is the only mantra that I'm going to tell you. Okay, so this is about the environment. Let us go to the next subject. The next subject is international relations. Overall, there were 11 questions in international relations. Now let us look at all the questions of international relations and assess how many were easy, moderate and hard. Okay, now the first was International Grain Council. Very, very easy question. How silly was the second statement? The moment you read that, you should be laughing, you should have a smile in your face. So the question was very, very easy. The second was the frequently mentioned in news, the falling birth rate as well as the aging population. Here let us say that the question is moderate. It is easy, but I want to be as stubborn as possible. Everyone knew about Japan, everyone knew about South Korea, everyone knew about Germany. I am assuming that you did not know about Italy. Okay, you should have, but let us assume that that also you don't know. So if I take this as moderate, Let us go to the next question. The longest border between any two countries in the world. Very, very easy question. Canada and USA. If you just visualize, you will get to know. Obviously, you cannot get confused with India and China and USA and Canada. Obviously, you will get to know with the map that it is very, very easy. The next is the author of the book, The India Way and Why Bharat Matters. The Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Jaishankar, has written this, so it was always in news. So if you are reading newspaper thoroughly, you should have known this, and hence I am marking it as a moderate question. Let us say that you are not reading newspaper, and even then I am marking it as moderate, though it is easy, I am marking it as moderate. The next is countries and reasons for it being in news. Okay, again this is an easy question. There was a very, very easy hint, Turkey coming out of NATO. It would have been a huge news if that was the case. See, there was Turkey's issue with, Norway and Sweden becoming, Sweden and Finland becoming the members of the NATO. That is a different issue. So, though they had some misunderstanding, Turkey did not come out of NATO. So, with that, obviously the other options were very, very easy. Everyone had given the places in news and there they had told what is happening in Sudan. Alright, so other two options were very easy. The only a little confusion was Turkey, is it out or not? If it had come out, it would have been a big news and you would have known it. So on that basis, you should know this as an easy question. Okay, the next is summed pipeline. Even I didn't know it, so I'm marking it as hard. I'm sorry if you know it, then it is good, but for me, it was a hard question. The next is Sahel region. We have discussed it in places in news. This is something that you should know. Last year, they had asked one question on Sahel, not exactly on Sahel, but on the countries where there was military coup that happened. Now they have just combined all that and asked Sahel region. So this is something that has repeated. So easy question. The next is Indian law and the import of GM crops. There the first statement is so silly. India does not import no apples from USA is a very, very wrong statement. So there itself you're going to get it right. So the next, so that is a moderate question. Let me mark it as moderate because the second statement says Indian law and GM crops. Let us assume that you did not know there and you marked something wrong. I'm still marking it as moderate. The next is European Parliament. Okay, the question on European Parliament, there was net zero industry. Okay, here the second statement was a giveaway. The second statement says by 2040 all our production should come from our own industries. So that is again, it is a very extreme statement, very ambitious, unrealistic. On that basis only you can mark it wrong. Okay, so ninth one was an easy question. The 10th one was Venezuela. Venezuela is a tricky question actually. Everyone might think that it is easy, but the trickiness was they are telling that there was rapid rise in the recovery. Now the BBC says that there is gradual rise in the, they are not told gradual, there is rise in the growth of the economy. They have never emphasized on the rapidness. Here they are telling rapidness in the growth of the economy. So Venezuela is difficult. We don't know how the UPSC will interpret this. That is where I am marking it as hard. The next is World Toilet Organization. This is where UPSC has played its tricks. If you see the World Toilet Organization, the first statement is obviously wrong. You know that it is not a specialized agency of UN. You know that the second statement is more or less right on the basis of common sense. The third statement is where the common sense will not prevail. WTO, that is the World Toilet Organization, will not provide financial funds to least developing states. In fact, they are the NGOs that will directly correlate with NGOs in other countries. They will never correlate or they don't do much of the contribution financially to states. Okay, so here the UPSC has played its trick. So on that basis, we can know that this question is hard. So overall, out of 11 questions in international relations, 5 were easy, 3 were moderate, 3 were hard. So you can take 5 easy questions and 6 moderate or difficult questions. Now if you look at the pie chart, overall there is 45% of easy questions, 27 and 27% of moderate and difficult questions. So 45% of the questions in international relations are easy, and that is where I want you to focus. Okay, so 5 questions out of 11 questions were easy, and this is where you had to get that mark. Okay, this is what I'm telling you. Every subject will have its own easy questions. That is what you have to catch. It is not about your favorite subject. It is not UPSC's favorite subject. It is not your faculty's favorite subject. It is all the subjects. You have to love all the subjects, and that is when you will catch all the easy questions of all the subjects. And that is how winning is done in prelims. So I hope you're realizing how to go about your prelims preparation. And I hope you have written prelims or not written prelims. This is where you have to understand the game and the rules of the game. Alright, that is where I keep shouting 8 core subjects. Don't skip the 8 core subjects. If you do that, no one can stop you from winning this game. So this is about the international relations. I hope it was helpful. 11 questions, 5 are very easy. Let us move on to the next question. The next subject is science and technology. As you can see, science and technology had 9 questions that came from it. Again, I loved the way they blend the science and technology questions. So let us go one by one and see which are the 9 questions that were easy, difficult or moderate. The first is, which substance dilates the blood vessels and increases the blood flow? Again, many people may say that I know this was easy, but for me it was hard because I had no idea. Okay, so it was a hard question for me, so I am marking it as hard. Again, I am telling you, my job is to not mark as many questions as easy. My job is to be very, very stubborn and mark only those questions that are easy, either by basics or by common sense or by logic. Okay, if I don't know a fact, I'm going to mark it moderate. If there's any trick, I'm going to mark it as moderate. So I am trying to be as stubborn as possible to show you how the basics play a role in prelims. Okay, the first question was, which dilates blood vessels and increases the blood flow? Hard. The next is application of radars. Very, very easy question. The third is 5th generation aircraft. I had no idea, so it was hard. I am taking it as hard. So if other people know about it, please don't try to put me down. I had no idea, so I am marking it as hard. The next is uses of hydrogels. Easy, because the options that they gave was very, very broader scope, so uses of hydrogels was easy. The next is the exhaust pipe emission from fuel cells, that is powered by hydrogen. Very, very easy. We always say that why hydrogen has to be used is the end product is water vapor. So please make sure that these questions should not be missed. The next is pumped storage hydropower. This question was hard. This is something that I feel very, very guilty. Down to earth, I did the entire year of 2024 to tell you the important topics, but I was lazy enough to not do the important topics of 2023. This pumped storage hydropower is from 2023 edition of Down to Earth. Unfortunately, that was something that I could have helped you, but it is fine. I am putting it as hard. Okay. The next is membrane biofilters. Again, see, biofilters, filtering will always be with respect to treatment. Filters, treatment will always go together. On that basis you can mark, but still I am going to be stubborn and mark it as moderate. The next is RTGs, that is radioisotopes, thermoelectric generators. Everyone would have thought, but it is easy, but this question is very, very difficult. The first statement itself is very, very tricky. Okay, what you should understand is there is no fission reaction. There is decay of plutonium. That decay of plutonium will heat up the environment, and that heat is converted into electricity. So fission reaction is not happening there. No one is bombarding it to break that element into two halves. There is natural decay. So this very, very close thing is something that you will not know. Even I did not know. I researched it later. But overall, this RTGs is a hard question. Giant stars and dwarf stars, very, very easy. They have changed, they intermingled the statements. Nuclear processes are very high in giant stars, that's why they die faster. So this is something that you should know, basics of space. So overall in the science and technology, very, very good questions were 4 very easy questions. Okay, applications of hydrogel was easy. The uses of radars, the application of radars was easy. The next is the fuel cells powered by hydrogen was easy, and giant stars and dwarf stars was easy. These 4 are something that you should not miss. Now, what will others do? They will start focusing only on the difficult part, but I want you to focus on these 4 questions. Those 4 questions would have got you the science and tech. It really doesn't matter if you come from science background, arts background or commerce background. Those 4 questions are something that you should get if you know the basics strong. So in science and technology, out of the 9 questions, 4 were easy, 1 was moderate, 4 was difficult. So if you can look at the pie chart, 44% of the science and technology question was easy. Again, 44% are easy. 44% questions can be answered by any students from arts background, commerce background, science background. Put it in your mind. Stop being prejudiced. Stop thinking that science is asked only to benefit other students. This is not correct. 44% were easy, 11% was moderate, 44% was difficult. Okay, so this is about the science and technology question. I hope you realize the importance. So it is not about perfection. It is not about studying the subject in such a way that you will not miss out on any question, but studying all the subjects in such a way that you will not miss out on any easy question. This is the trick. If you can hold this, no one can stop you from clearing prelims. This is the trick that we followed. That is why we cleared prelims day in and day out. But if you want to do it also, this is all you have to catch. Catch the basics. Don't miss out on the easy questions. You will ace it. Okay, so this is about the science and technology. Let's move on to the next subject. The next subject is ancient, medieval and art and culture. Something that pains a lot of students to study so much. But again, look, just study one book and go, see what you can do. Let us assess. The ancient, medieval and art and culture, there were a total of 8 questions. So let us look at the 8 questions and go on with it. First is epithets of Gautama Buddha. Now, I would say it's an easy question. The reason is because Buddhism, Jainism is a recurring theme that you should have gone depth, studied more, researched more. But what are they asking? They are only asking the epithets of Gautama Buddha. That is something that you should start by acquiring information about Gautama Buddha and Mahavira. So though it is easy, I am going to give you the benefit and tell you that it is moderate. Because I don't want to just push more and more questions into easy. Let us put it into moderate. The second is archaeological sites, state and description. Okay, my students, I taught them Chandraketugad. Reached the peak of terracotta post Mauryas. Okay, I taught them that it is West Bengal. So if you know that Inam Goan, I taught you as Chalcolithic sites, you should have got the answer. One is wrong, one is right, you should have got the answer. Okay, it is easy, but for the other students who have not attended my Conquer classes, let us assume that you did not know about Chandraketugad, you also did not know about the sites in Kerala and Andhra Pradesh. On the basis of that, let us mark it as moderate. Because you had that option to eliminate. If you know one or two questions, you can eliminate. It is not only one, only two, only three, all four. It was because they had given the numbers. It was easy to eliminate. I am putting it as moderate. Otherwise, I would have put it at hard. Okay. The third is the permission for the Portuguese to build a fort at Batkal. Easy question. Always you should have the information about the best rulers in all the kingdoms, what they have done. So obviously Krishnadevaraya is someone you should know. So easy question. Vijayanagara is a recurring theme that always keeps coming. So Vijayanagara, Buddhism. Again the question has come on that. Okay. The next is Upanishads. There is a comparison between Upanishads and Purana. Very, very easy question. This is something that you should not go wrong. Next, the latest inclusion in the intangible cultural heritage site of UNESCO. Now, the trick here is latest inclusion. That means this year whatever they have included you should know. See, you are studying for this year prelims. You should know what are the inclusions done in wetlands, inclusion done in heritage sites, national parks. These are basic things, GI tags. These are things that you should just browse and go. So I am marking it as easy because assuming that you are a person who has prepared on the facts, the basic facts. This is some of the basic facts. Okay. The next is work attributed to playwright Basa. I am going to take it as hard because I know that a lot of people would have marked that Mahabhasa and come. That is not the correct answer. The C is the correct answer there. But let us say that I am marking it as hard. Okay. The next is Sangamabhuti is an Indian Buddhist monk. The question on that, I'll again mark it as hard. Alright, let us assume that though Buddhism is a theme, here I am marking it as hard because there are very less chances for you to research on this monk itself. There are so many monks, so it is fine that you don't know about this. Next is properties included in the World Heritage List released by UNESCO in 2023. Okay, obviously this is fine. You should have known this, but again I am being stubborn enough to mark it as moderate. I am not even marking it as easy. So if I do that, look at the easy questions here. One, permission to Portuguese was easy. The next was Upanishads and Puranas was easy. The next is latest addition to the intangible heritage site of UNESCO was easy. Okay, so three questions were actually easy in the ancient, medieval and art and culture. For these three questions, you don't have to study any advanced books. You don't have to do a lot of research. If you have done your basics right, if you have read one book of ancient, one book of medieval, one book of art and culture, you could have answered these three questions. And this three question itself is enough. That is what I am trying to tell you. So overall in the ancient, medieval, art and culture, you have 8 questions. Out of the 8 questions, you have 3 questions that are easy, 3 questions that are moderate and 2 questions that are hard. Forget the moderate and hard questions. 3 questions very easy, and that's what I want your entire focus to be on. So if you look at the pie chart here, you have 37% of the questions that are easy. 37% of the questions that come from ancient, medieval and art and culture are easy. Try to ingrain this in your mind. Stop having that paraphernalia about the ancient, medieval and art and culture. It is not as it is perceived to be. I hope you understand that. So 37% is easy, 37% is moderate and 25% is difficult or hard. So let us, this is how the ancient, medieval and art and culture has been. So let us move on to the next subject. The next subject is government programs and acts. 4 questions came from the government programs and acts. Let us see the questions and then assess the difficulty level of them. The first is Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan. Now this is an easy question because 18th Lok Sabha is this Lok Sabha. Election has happened. Everyone should have known that 18th Lok Sabha is this Lok Sabha. With that information, if you eliminate the first option, you got the answer. So that was that easy. You don't have to worry about the other option at all. So first question was easy. Second, Digital India Land Record Modernization Program. All the statements are correct, but overall, let us assume that central sector, central sponsored, something that you did not know, so you marked it wrong. Alright, it's a moderate. Let us put it in moderate. The third one, Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. This was hard question. The reason is because in the first statement, half of the statement is correct, half of the statement they have themselves added it. For example, there is a package given to the second and trimester pregnant women, but there is no package after 6 months of post-delivery health care. There is nothing like that. So in one statement, there is half that is correct, half that is wrong by a conjunction called and. So they have given first half, they have added and then they have given the second half is wrong. So anyways, the second one, the third one, the Pradhan Mantri Matritva Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan, I will assume it as hard question, because common sense you will mark it as right, but common sense will not prevail there. The next is Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandan Yojana. Again, it's a hard question because 21 to 40, they have changed it a little bit, it's 18 to 40. So you should know that small detail for you to get it. So I'm marking it as hard because you should have that specific knowledge. Okay. Anyways, so there are 4 questions. One easy, one moderate and 2 hard questions. It is fine. One easy question was there. Okay, that easy question you should have missed. Okay, so you have, if you see the pie chart now, 25% of the questions were easy, 25% were moderate, and 50% were hard. But this is government programs and acts. It is fine, not an issue. That one easy question you should have got. Apart from that, it is fine. Let us move on to the next question. The next is modern India. Okay, so modern India, you had only one question. As I told in the beginning, that one question was riot worry and permanent settlement. Now here both the statements, I mean in this permanent settlement question, it is more or less decided, but riot worry is where there is a quote that tells that there is no exemption during bad harvest or natural calamities. This is where I don't know how the UPSC will interpret, because there are a lot of document that says in riot worry there will be remission during natural calamities. Now this remission will be equated to exemption or not, I don't know. Okay, this is something that is open to UPSC, but let us assume one question that is difficult. So I am putting one question that came from modern India that is hard. Okay, the 1935 Act, I put it in polity. I don't consider this as modern India question, so that goes into the polity. So this modern India question, there is one question that is difficult. The next is defense. If you take the defense, this is a new section that is started by UPSC. However, now just because a new section is started, don't start putting that in your mind, because if you see previously, sports was a new section that was started. Agriculture was a new section that was started. So just because they start something new doesn't mean that they keep carrying it forward. Okay, what is important is the 8 core subjects. That is something that they cannot take it off. Just because modern India came only one question doesn't mean that you skip modern India in your next attempt. No. There can be 10 to 15 questions from modern India in the next attempt. Okay, so that is not the entire essence of this class. The class is to prove you that 8 core subjects stands always the best, and there will always be easy questions in the 8 core subjects, and that is what is meant to make you clear. Okay, let us come to this defense question. Defense questions, there are 4 questions. This is a new thing that was asked. So one, what is the equivalent rank in the 3 services? There was Army, Air Force and Navy. This I am taking it as hard. Obviously you should know this. The next is the Chief of Defense Staff. Now here I am going to take this question as easy, because the second one, he exercises the command on all the 3 forces, military command on all the 3 forces. That itself is a wrong question, that wrong option. If you can remove that in the option, you will obviously get the answer. So on that basis, I am going to tell that this question was easy. The next is Operation Sadbhavana. If you have studied internal security, if you have studied about Jammu Kashmir, if you have studied about Minds and Hearts program in Kashmir, then you should have known this. But I will assume that you people wouldn't have gone through internal security or what is happening there. So I am going to put it as moderate. Then exercise Mitra Shakti 2023, easy if you just know India and which country. If you know that India and Sri Lanka is the country, if you remove that option, you will get the answer. Okay, but I am again assuming that you have not read the current affairs, you don't know about it, and hence I am marking it in moderate. So you can see how stingy and stubborn I am in putting a question into easy category. Even then, in the 4 questions of defense, there was 1 easy question, there was 2 moderate questions and 1 hard questions. Okay, so overall 25% was easy, 50% was moderate, and 25% was difficult or hard, as you can see in this pie chart. So this is about the defense questions. So overall, I hope you understood how the subjects were asked, the weightage of the subjects, the questions inside the subjects, and what were the easy questions inside the subjects. This realization is what is very, very important for you to go forward in your preparation, especially for your prelims exam. So I hope there was a good takeaway in whatever we discussed and analyzed in these few minutes. Now, if I add up all the easy questions that I just told you, all the moderate questions that I just told you, and all the hard questions that I just told you. Look at the breakup. This is the pie chart that shows the overall distribution of easy questions, moderate questions, and difficult questions. You will be amazed to just look at it. 50 questions were of easy nature, 19 questions were of moderate nature, and 31 questions were hard. Again, I try to internalize this. You might argue with me, sir, the constraints of time will make the questions difficult, or the pressure that is there in the exam hall will make the questions difficult. I completely empathize with you. I am not here to tell you that 50 questions are easy, so everyone is going to score 100. Not at all. This is not true. I am here to show you how you should understand the game of this exam. Okay, 50 questions were easy nature, 19 questions were moderate nature, and 31 questions were hard nature. Okay, so what is the takeaway? The takeaway is, don't focus only on the 31 hard questions. Don't make your entire preparation about those 31 hard questions. It is about these easy questions. It is about being consistent in these easy questions. It is about not going wrong in these easy questions. If you can do that, your preparation for prelims is done. If you can do that year on year, clearing prelims is something that is not a big game at all. If you do that, prelims will not look uncertain the way the people have made you perceive it is. This is the realization I wanted to make. So I hope I have made my case, and I hope you have understood the analysis of this paper with the intention of preparing forward of how to go about this preparation. Alright, now coming to the main aspect that you people have been waiting for from a long time. That is predicting cutoff. See, first thing first, I don't like to predict cutoff because irrespective of what you score, please start your preparation for mains. The reason why I emphasize on this is the mains window. You clear prelims or you don't clear prelims, the next 3 to 4 months is something that you have to dedicate to prepare for mains. Again, if you don't prepare for mains in this window, post November, that is in December, everyone will again start speaking about prelims, and you would also have to get back to that gear of preparing for prelims. So please don't go behind cutoff. If you want to be an IAS, if you want to be a civil servant, whichever attempt you write mains, you have to be good at it. So please, under any circumstances, prepare and start preparing for mains. This is my request, a sincere request to all of you people watching there. Okay. The second, just because I told you that there are 50 easy questions doesn't mean that everyone is going to get 100 plus marks. This is wrong. My intention was to just show you the amount of easy questions that will be sprinkled in the paper which you have to catch. So I hope you understood that. Now coming to the cutoff aspect of it itself, 100 plus is something that everyone will not score. Don't even believe that. People will keep coming and telling you nonsensical things. This is wrong. Okay. Don't worry about such things. Okay, coming to the cutoff prediction, this is purely a biased prediction. This is purely a subjective prediction. This is purely coming from my side. I may go wrong, but this is with my experience. Whatever I can say, I am going to tell it. Okay, coming to the cutoff, first aspect is the paper was on the factual side. So in that time constraint, the facts may have taken more time for you to recollect. So you may had to compromise on the other questions. The paper was a bit on the lengthy side, so finishing the question paper itself was a difficult task. So if you have finished it, that's good, but most of the people would have not finished it thoroughly, so the finishing paper itself was difficult. So that is something that you should look upon. The third is, there are traps in the statement that you may not know. For example, I keep telling you that in Venezuela, the trap is the English that they have used. Or if you take Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan, the statement that they have completely added. If you take the World Toilet Organization, the third statement is commonsensically correct, but it is not factually correct. So in this way, there are a lot of traps that they have kept in many questions which you may not know. You may think that commonsensically it is correct, and if you have marked that may go wrong. Again, the trap questions are high, so that can also bring down the cutoff. The last is environment questions were difficult. So people would have marked the environment questions out of compulsion that environment is a very important subject, realizing that if I don't mark in environment, I may lose out on the overall marks. On that mistake also, a lot of people would have come down on their marks. The next is CSAT paper was on the easier side compared to the last year. So a lot of people will not lose out on the CSAT paper. So hence the cutoff may boost up a little bit. So taking all this scenario, my gauge of the cutoff stands somewhere on 85 to 95. This is where I would feel the cutoff stands at 85 to 95. Now people who are scoring 80 plus, Prepare seriously. The reason why I'm telling you this is 85 to 95 is my guess of what the cutoff can stand, but if you take, there are 3 to 4 questions that I don't know or we don't know how the UPSC will interpret. For example, storage of agri-produce. It can be taken as a forward linkage of agriculture. It can be taken as a backward linkage of food processing. Which will it take for it to consider primary or secondary? That is something that we don't know. Okay. The second is, there is one more question where there is riot to worry system. In riot to worry system, there is remission for natural calamities. Will that be considered as the exemption for natural calamities? We don't know. Alright, so like this, there is one more question in geography where it talks about isotherms, and in that isotherms they give the month called January, but in the first statement they are not specifying which hemisphere it is. Is it in the northern hemisphere? It is in the southern hemisphere. Again, we don't know. Okay, like this, there are 3 to 4 questions which is subjective in nature, which depends on what interpretation that UPSC may take. So on that basis, the cutoff may waver. So I would say 85 to 95 is my take, but 80 plus, whoever is scoring 80 plus, there are very good chances of clearing it. So prepare diligently. But another but is, irrespective of what you are scoring, please prepare for mains exam. Mains exam has a lot of certainty. So this attempt or next attempt or that next other attempt, any attempt you clear prelims, if you are very well prepared in your GS papers, your essay and optional, you are going to ace the exam and you are going to be the officer. So if you want to be a civil servant, truly in your bottommost core, prepare for your mains exam irrespective of the marks. Don't even worry about what marks you get. But overall, in the entire session that I have taken, I hope it is helpful. This is the first time in the entire country that anyone has deciphered the paper like this. No one does this because no one wants to lose out on the students and their market. I am doing this for the benefit of my students. I want to make them realize how to prepare for the prelims exam. I hope you have understood the mind of this exam. I hope you understood the rules of the game, and this is how the preparation should be done. And if you do this, no one can stop you from clearing prelims exam. I hope the analysis was helpful. Please guys, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe and share it with as many people as possible. Thank you so much for love and support. I'm going to meet you all of you in the mains program. I'll see you then guys. Bye.